Welcome back to Sims Complete. I'm your host, Matt Sims. This is a part of the Believe Sports Network brought to you by FanDuel. We have Joe Zucco joining us today, and really honored to join you on this show because you got some really big things moving and going right now, right, in the world of sports, right? A lot of action, of course, with being a part of NFL Films, quarterback coming out, a lot of other great things that you've been a part of. So, Joe, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. Happy to talk about quarterback. It's a show that a lot of people put a lot of work into. So
yeah,
certainly happy to talk about it.
Yeah, Joe, and go into that a little bit. Like, I'm so curious because here I am at home, right, watching and enjoying the show right now into season 3. And just what is it like as far as behind the scenes for you in that preparation for, of course, finding the quarterbacks, but then how big is the team that goes into making a show like Quarterback possible?
It's a really big team. I mean, first of all, each season, when selecting the quarterbacks and asking them to participate and stuff, we want to try to mix it up a little bit each year. And this year was exciting because we had the #1 overall pick. It was our first rookie that we've had on in the 3 seasons, so that's certainly different. And then you look, like, well, what's a completely different story than the #1 overall pick? How about a 40-year-old quarterback in Joe Flacco, right? And then we fill in with Jaden Daniels, second-year guy, obviously had an incredible rookie season, so we're really excited about that. And then Baker Mayfield, as someone who's worked at NFL Film for a long time, we mic up a lot of players, as you know, all the time. We've had Baker mic'd many times and knew that he would be pure gold entertainment because, if anybody who's seen the show yet, and if you haven't tuned in, Baker is must-watch TV always. But as far as the team goes, I mean, one thing that we do to really help the quarterbacks get comfortable is we assign one director to each quarterback. So each quarterback had their own director that was out there. So there's a director of photography, audio person that's with each quarterback, a lot throughout the season. Then here back at NFL Films, we have a team of usually rotating, but they're probably averaging 10 to 12 producer editors that are watching footage, going through it all the time, in addition to an army of production assistants, our post-production staff. It really is a giant undertaking.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so fascinating to me, just like, because of course I was fortunate enough to play the position in the NFL and to be in those rooms and to even have the thought of like a camera crew following me around with all the other stuff that I had on the to-do list, right, of being an NFL quarterback. For me, that would have been extremely overwhelming. So what is that conversation like, that lead up to it? How do you go about making the players feel comfortable? How do you go about making also your staff feel comfortable with navigating being in an NFL facility like that, following a star quarterback and going through just the day-to-day?
Yeah, I mean, that's incredibly important. I mean, probably the most important part of the whole process is making the quarterback comfortable, making the team comfortable, their teammates and everything. The last thing that we ever want to do is be any sort of distraction, right? So a lot goes into that. A lot of it is technology and workflows that have been developed over the 60-plus year NFL history, NFL Films, and stuff that Evan and Steve Sable started. So first of all, the fact that it's us, NFL Films, doing it. Most of the players have all been around us for a little while. Obviously, Cam being a rookie had into that point, so we have a little bit of built-in trust there. But we're able to really stay back, still capture tight, intimate moments, but from a distance with the different lensing we have, the audio technology, the microphones that we have. I mean, I'm sure, so many guys are mic'd every week. People for all different shows NFL Films is producing. People don't know. You know what I mean? A lot of times their teammates don't know. We're able to do it from such a distance and really stay out of their way to a point where we want them to forget that we're there, so that they're their natural self. So if we're filming a conversation on the sideline and you're talking to your center about you want to snap a different way and we're 2 feet away from you, like, you might have that conversation a little differently than if we're 25 feet away for you and just shooting with a longer lens. So that's really the whole thing, is to be the fly on the wall and hope that they forget that we're even there.
And how much fun do you guys have, right, as a team, right? Because I mean, that's what we have to remember too, right? You're working with teams, but you guys are a team as well, right? You're in the embodiment of what the NFL and just teamwork is all about, right? From the film aspect of it. How much fun is just the team meeting of going through like the mix and matching, right? You're mixologists of quarterbacks, right? Like I love when Joe Flacco's name was brought up. I mean, did everyone just smile ear to ear and be like, yeah, like let's definitely ask our boy Joey Flaxy to join us?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a great collaboration between us and Omaha, to put this whole together, and
Right.
Netflix, and having Peyton as the executive producer and leader of Omaha Productions also really helps the quarterbacks feel comfortable because they know that Peyton's not going to put anything out there that's going to burn somebody or make them
Right.
look in a negative way or create any sort of competitive imbalance and stuff. So when we have an idea, like you said, Flacco, everyone's like, oh, he would be awesome. But we're like, is he going to do it? Joe hasn't done a ton of stuff like this before.
Right.
His wife Dana, who I think comes across great in the show, she had only done like maybe one on-camera interview in his 18 years or so playing. But Peyton had a conversation with Joe and convinced him to do it. So it's a fun process, and that continues into the season as well. We're following the guy's season. I have a big cork board in my office with note cards that we're kind of moving around and storyboarding out the season.
Right.
And yeah, it's not the same as being a team on the field, but our production staff really is a team and taking everybody's ideas and figuring out our best game plan to put the best show out there.
Yeah, very cool. I can already see your office right now. You got like the Sherlock Holmes, the nets, the webs, all that going, detective work, trying to figure out how to tell this best story. And so your official title for NFL Films is supervising producer.
Correct.
And showrunner for quarterback as well.
Yeah.
And hey, Emmy award-winning series quarterback, and just how unique it is with one of the most important positions of all the sports, the most important position of all sports. And I say that selfishly a little bit, but
it is.
For and I appreciate you agreeing with that. For you and just this journey too. How hands-on are you? Are you watching from afar? Are you going on site every now and then to check on the team? How do you manage your workload as this is going on throughout the season?
Yeah, so in my role as showrunner for quarterback, I'm not on site with the teams. I'm back here at NFL Films, sort of the quarterback of the production, the editing side of it here, right? So we have a director who's out with each quarterback, who is the face of NFL Films with the teams, with the quarterback during the season. And I'm communicating with them constantly. They're sending notes back. Hey, we shot this today with Baker. Think it's going to be a really great moment. Then I'm watching the footage and then kind of distributing it to different producers and editors to put scenes together. Right. And they kind of give me the scenes, and then I start mapping out how to interconnect the different quarterbacks and put the master sort of sequence together.
Right. And when you go about building these shows and the sequencing together, is it, what is your process of that? Is it kind of like a 3-arc story, right? As far as like a 3-part structured story always for every episode? Is that kind of how it works as far as like a normal film to what you do for the show?
Yeah, pretty much. I think one of the key things, especially with this being on a streaming service, right? Doing stuff for a streaming service, there are certain things you always want the person to hit play on the next episode. Right. So part of it is identifying sort of tentpole moments. Like, what's a key moment that's sort of cliffhanger-ish that can end the episode? What's a big moment that we can have in the middle of the episode to kind of bring the energy up? So it's kind of defining, and then it's typically, the first season was 8 episodes because we had a Super Bowl run in it, so that was lovely. But typically, each episode is like 3 to 4 weeks of the season, depending on how it goes, and then it's identifying like, this was a huge game, this was a turning point because there was an injury. Obviously, with Flacco being traded during season, which was great. So it's kind of identifying the tentpole moments for each guy, and then building around those.
Very cool. And yeah, you mentioned it. I was about to ask you about that. Just What was it like, Joe Flacco being traded and you guys having to adjust to all of that movement on the fly with him personally as a player, his family, and of course too for your production team as well?
Yeah, I mean, you hear kind of breaking news, and we had a little bit of a heads up because we had a director who was with Joe at the moment. So before it broke, first thought is like, oh boy, what are we gonna do here?
Right.
And like it quickly turns into like, this is actually pretty awesome. One, this
Yeah.
is going to be a very cool thing to cover. Two, unfortunately for Joe and his family, he had just been benched, right? And he wants to play, and this was an opportunity for him to go play, even though we all knew that Burrow was going to be coming back at some point, but nobody knew how long. So it's a great opportunity for Joe, which turned into a great opportunity for us. It was a very unique story to tell, especially a guy in his position who has a family, has kids. I mean, one of my favorite moments in the whole thing is his wife had happened. We were there that moment because he got benched. The team goes to play overseas in London. That all happened so quick. Joe and Dana, his wife, had never really had a chance to kind of talk about it themselves.
Right.
So she made plans to go out there as soon as they got back from London. And obviously we're like, hey, can we tag along with you? And the great participants they were, they said yes. So we're there, and we thought it was just going to be a visit, and Dana and Joe talking about the future with him not playing anymore. And that same day, he gets the call that he's being traded. And you see Dana's reaction. You see them FaceTiming the kids and telling them, and like that's one of my favorite moments. And the kids are so excited that he's going to play with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and going to be the starter again.
Right.
I think Joe was pretty happy to be thrown to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as well, as any quarterback would be.
Right.
So the trade was obviously not something we expected, but it turned into a great moment, one of my favorite parts of the whole series.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I would have to say that probably one of my favorite parts, though, is Joe's own son saying that he's being dropped from his fantasy team. I mean, what was your reaction when you heard that line in that mic'd up moment?
we died. You never know what you're going to get when you're wiring a player. You definitely don't know what you're going to get when you're wiring a player's kid during a game.
Yeah.
And the whole Flacco family was great throughout this whole process. And that moment was, I mean, there's so much footage that we capture. It's always hard whittling it down to what's going to actually be in the show. But there are moments that you immediately know that is in the show, no matter what.
We don't know where, but it's going to be there.
That is in the show. We'll figure out what goes around it, but like that's going to be the show. That's a great one.
That is fantastic. And do you mind just kind of opening up and just sharing, doesn't have to be from the most recent season, just from this whole process of quarterback, just some of your favorite moments and ones that really kind of stick with you as you kind of recap those.
Yeah, well, two moments from this season that really, really stick out to me as moments, not necessarily the characters of the players, like the Flacco trade, which we just spoke about.
Yeah.
Week 18, the Bucs situation was very strange. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs had to win on Saturday, and then they needed the Saints to win on Sunday for them to make the playoffs.
Right.
So the Bucs and Baker do their part. They win on Saturday. Saturday after the game, Shannon Furman, who is one of the all-time great NFL Films directors, is Baker's director this year. Okay. She approached Baker and Emily in the parking lot after the game. Was like, "Listen, tomorrow's super important. Like, let's be at the house and watch as you're watching."
Yeah.
And they let us in there. I guess they were tremendous all season. And Baker watching and rooting for the Saints, who he even says in the show, this will be the only day of his life that he roots for the Saints.
Right.
And the season in the balance of another team and how he's dealing with that emotion is like, it's just a tremendous, tremendous moment in episode 7 this year. I think in season 2, Kirk Cousins and Julie and how they handled the whole transition to him being benched and just the honesty and the raw emotion that they allowed us to capture was tremendous. I mean, Patrick Mahomes winning the Super Bowl was an incredibly exciting moment for us. So, I mean, there's just been so many great moments that just thankful to these guys who, as you stated at the very beginning of this, have so much on their plate.
Yeah.
But allowing us to capture what it's like.
And Joe, like I really just even that pause that you shared, right, for the people at home that are maybe listening to our episode right now and can't see Joe and I speaking, but just like that pause and you just kind of looking, into the abyss a little bit. I saw it though. Like I saw, what that experience has been like being a part of this show. I mean, as a football fan working for NFL Films, has this just also educated you or shed a new light as far as just how you yourself view the game and the people that are playing it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, one thing that we try to do, and it certainly has educated me and everybody else, but we're always trying to do NFL Films. I feel that we've done successfully on this show, or really have tried to do, is let everyone know that these are human beings and they have a lot going on in their lives. It's so easy in fantasy football and daily fantasy, all these things, you're just like, oh my God, I thought he was going to have 3 touchdowns today. He didn't have it. You know what I mean? It's just to put all this stuff on. Like, these are real human beings that are riding an emotional roller coaster throughout the season. I think the thing that I've learned the most is how they each handle it different. Every guy's got their own process, their own personality. Cam Ward's personality is certainly light years different than Peyton Manning's. It does not mean that Cam Ward is not going to go on to be an incredibly successful quarterback. It's just every guy is just completely different, and they're their own human, just like we all are.
Yeah. And is that like that? It's really, I love that you mentioned that, because that's something even too, like when I'm coaching my young quarterbacks here, right, in this tri-state area of New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and all that, I share that with them of, hey, you are your own player. You have your own style. You have your own thing. Hey, I'm coaching you all the same things, but yet everybody looks their own, right? They have their own identity on the field. How fun has that been for you to see the different personalities that play this super important position, and they go about it from a slightly different perspective? Because even for me, I've had that experience of being around guys like Matt Schaub, Matt Ryan, Mike Vick, and just seeing the different styles of it. And guess what? They were all really successful in their own ways. Just, elaborate a little bit more on that and how you've kind of witnessed that from afar, being the showrunner.
Yeah, and I think that's a key lesson in life, generally. I mean,
right?
People could be there's different ways to get to different places. I have 3 boys, and they're all completely different, right? It goes that way. And with the quarterbacks, I mean, you look at like Kirk, who we had on 2 seasons. I mean, he is so detail oriented, and everything has to. If the rep doesn't go right, like, exactly the way that it's written in the book, like he wants to do it again, and that's his process and the way he is, and he's had an incredible career because of it. The play breaks down even during practice for Patrick Mahomes. That doesn't matter. He's gonna do something different and throw it underhanded Kelsey. It's there's so many different ways of approaching the game, of playing the game. It is really fun to watch how they do it. I mean, you see Flacco this year. I mean, he's talking about another one of my favorite moments for him is when he first gets to Cincinnati. I mean, he's playing on such short notice. He messes up a couple play calls, whatever, and then he's sitting on the bench and be like, if I was younger, I'd be, pretty upset about this. He used a little more colorful language than I'm using right now. He's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? He's completely comfortable in where he is at that point in his career.
Yeah.
Or had that happen with Jaden or Cam or someone who's in their first or second year, then they're going to be going right to the coach. What did I do? How can I correct it? There's just so many different ways to do it, and so many different personalities. I think it's a good sign to people that be yourself, do it your way. Obviously there are certain benchmarks and things you need to do to be successful, but you can do it in your own style.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that is fascinating. You're right. Absolutely. Like, I mean, we tease each other as QBs every now and then when we call the plays incorrectly and all that. I certainly did it more than I would have liked in my career, but like to see Flacco have that just like old man wisdom of like,
Yeah.
I'm still really good. And like you said, I got Jamar Chase out there. I'm just going to throw a nice little quick slant to him and keep it easy. But, for you as a fan, first of all, actually, are you allowed to share who you're a fan of and your fandom? Or is that something like NFL Films, like, hey, leave your fandom at the door?
No, we're all fans. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all super passionate about the game. I mean,
Right.
that's why we're here, right?
So who's your team,
No,
man? Yeah.
I grew up a Patriots fan. So my
Oh,
whole family's from New England. I just came down to Jersey to be here because this
Yeah.
has always been a dream job of mine. So,
yeah.
but I always like to preference, like, I was a Patriots fan in the 80s and 90s. It was not all glory days, right? You're
Right.
going to be a Patriots fan now, and it's like, oh, of course, but
Yeah, you develop some tough skin before you had all
develop
that
some tough
success.
skin being a Patriots. Especially, I grew up in Connecticut, so it was, Giants were much better then. So,
Right.
as you well know, so there was a lot of, a lot of infighting there, and the Patriots were not good. But it's just, it's where your family comes from, where your rooting interests are, and stuff, and you just. But being one of those guys, you stick with your team your entire life, no matter where you are.
Yeah, fantastic. And personally for you, Joe, like when did you kind of choose that point in your life? Like, hey, I'm gonna go after this NFL Films. Like, was that always the dream? Was it to be something else in film and in TV? Was it always just NFL Films? Following the footsteps of Steve and Ed Sable and just what they did.
Yeah, it was always. I mean, always involved with sports, like since I was a kid, and
Right.
I knew by high school I was not going to be a professional, so I wanted to work in sports media to some extent, and
Right.
I always grew up watching that at that point the NFL Films VHSs and then DVDs and stuff. So like it was a dream, and I even right out of college I had applied here. But I had a little bit more of a winding route, as most people do in a lot of industries, especially in sports media and stuff. So, I was fortunate to, out of school, get a job at a local station in Boston that then took me to ABC Sports in New York, where I worked on college football, like live broadcasts and golf. And
Right.
through that, I worked on college football crew with Dan Fouts, who had a relationship with Katz, who ran NFL Films for a long time and stuff, and so I talked to him a lot about it. Then eventually, when NFL Network was starting around 2004, 2005, at the NFL Films building, they knew there was going to be a little bit more live TV stuff, which is where my background had been. So that opened up some opportunities. So I initially came to NFL Films and did some more live stuff, but this type of thing, the follow documentary, traditional NFL film stuff, was always my goal. So,
Yeah.
tell young people trying to get business, get your foot in the door, and then you can work your way into what you actually want to do, right? So, so I was able to get my foot in the door through some of the kind of live TV studio show type stuff, and then, over the years, get a little bit more documentary type experience, and now I've been here 21 seasons, so it's been a great ride.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it just goes to show you too that just, networking is a real thing, right? And just being respectful, right? Getting to know people on a real genuine level. And you never know when that person is going to come around and kind of open the next door for you in your life. And I think that's an awesome lesson that you just shared with our listeners. And also too, just like, you just never know how it's going to happen, right? Yeah, never know. I never knew myself. I was like, man, I'm definitely not playing the league. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm in the same room with Mark Sanchez and Geno Smith. What the hell is going on? So, and then Rex Ryan walking in, with his big teeth, yelling at us. So it's really just so special. And the key is just like, keep believing yourself and keep doing it. For you, Joe, all right, what's your great success, award-winning NFL Films? You've captured a lot of what young Joe always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So now what's the next big leap for you, right, in your career? What's kind of something that you're really eager to see if maybe you can do something new or innovative or really just make what you're doing better? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, it's really just keep finding unique points of view and stories that help entertain fans and grow the NFL and NFL films and evolve as the media evolves, right? Like I mentioned earlier, we do consider that the show is on a streaming platform when we're structuring the show. Like we need to end the show with something that's going to make people hit play on the next episode.
You're the guy that I'm always upset with. I'm like,
exactly.
Come on.
I got a job.
That's right. So now we all have a face here that we know, right? It's, Joe, you're a beautiful young man, but like, man, I'm upset at you every night when I'm ready for bedtime.
So, but that's different than shows that we were creating 10 years ago, So then at that point, I'm like, let's wrap up this episode nice and tidy. And then, next week they're going to tune in at the same time for so now, the media landscape is just changing faster and faster. So I think it's a goal of mine and everybody here to try to stay ahead of the curve and identify what's the next big thing and how does that help us tell unique stories about football players that bring more fans into the game and really keep the current fans invested and loving it and learning about the humans that are playing the game.
That's right. And that's exactly right. It really is. It's really about, and that's why I think Steve and Ed were just so ahead of their time. They saw poetry in motion, but they also knew that just the characters that were a part of this story and just how unique they were, right? To one, be as humble as the Flaccos were, letting you into their home and doing that, but then also to put on helmets and shoulder pads and tights and to be like, I'm going to go run out there with 11 other people and run into other people full speed is just like, it's kind of mind boggling, now to think about, but truly tremendous. What are your thoughts on just the growth of the game internationally and like how exciting is that for you guys at NFL Films to now think about the brand from an international level?
I think it's great. Any way we can grow the game. I think, going back a little bit, one of the most fun times in my career was back when NFL Europe existed. We used to go over there for a couple weeks at a time and film different things to help try to promote that league and even some broadcasts of the game and stuff. And it was a real bummer when that went away because you could see, especially in certain locations, like there was a real passion for it.
Yeah. Right.
So that was always exciting. So I think growing it internationally is great. Selfishly, maybe it gets me a trip to, Spain or something when the next game.
Yeah.
But definitely. No, I think it's great. It's just such a great game that it would be a shame if it's really sort of just isolated in the United States. I think it's growing globally, and it introduces new young people to the game that then may want to start playing the game. The league's got the international pathway program, and we've seen multiple players come over from Europe and different parts of the world now.
The NFL Academy, right?
NFL Academy, I think that's really cool. There's just some.
Joe, that's what I want to see. I want to see an NFL Films NFL Academy show. All right, just make me a small producer. I'll go over there. I'll do it for you. But that is just like stuff that I think is just so exciting. Is like the NFL and like a high school football academy in London, right? And now the one in Australia. Like that is just fascinating to see how that's happening.
No, it's very cool.
Joe, really appreciate it. Your time today. Thank you so much. Congratulations again on just another successful year of quarterback. Anything that you'd like to share here before we close out the show?
No, thanks for having me on. Like I said, we're really proud of quarterback as a series as a whole, especially this season. There's so many people that work so hard on it. I'm happy to promote it at any chance and really encourage people to watch, because even if you're not the most diehard fan, I think there is something in there for everybody. Like we talked about earlier, like it really shows that these guys deal with a lot of the same stuff that everybody else has to deal with on a daily basis. They've got kids, wives, families, moms giving them a hard time for getting a speeding ticket and can't afford the case. There's all sorts of stuff that people can relate to. So I hope everybody enjoys it, and I thank you for having me on.
No, Joe, thank you so much. This was absolutely awesome. Would love to have you on the show again sometime soon. And yeah, man, you're sharing the hero's journey of these guys like live and in the moment as they're going into the Dragon's Den, right? So it's really amazing that they're that kind and gracious to open up, their homes that way and what they're going through. So Joe Zucco, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. NFL Films doing some awesome things. This is Sims Complete on the Believe Sports Network, brought to you by FanDuel. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys next week.